Hello and welcome to the meeting of the Westborough Affordable Housing Trust on Thursday, March 25th, 2021. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Westborough Affordable Housing Trust will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend the meeting can be found on the Town of Westborough's website at town.westborough.ma.us. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may do so in the following manner. Westborough's TV's online platforms, youtube.com/WestboroughTV and westboroughTV.org, or on Charter Channel 192 or Verizon Channel 28. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the Town of Westborough's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Okay. All right. We only have two items on the agenda, as you can see on your screen. We're going to have a discussion for selection of the administrator of the community or the COVID emergency rental assistance program, and then authorize the chair, i.e. me, to execute a contract with Sarah, program administrator. So on that point, Alan, maybe you want to talk, since you did some of the initial outreach to some of the possible administrators. You can give us an update on that. And by the way, I hope everybody received, as of last evening, there were 4 documents that Alan sent out related to our discussions today and to Sarah in general.
Okay, good morning, everyone. So very briefly, in accordance with Massachusetts general law and purchasing guidelines, given the size of the expenditure for hiring an administrator, we identified several candidate administrator organizations. The preference of this board was to work with nonprofits rather than for-profit organizations. We sent out 3 requests for quotes, or requests for solicitation, as the official term is there. And 2 of the respondents declined to respond. And so we did get the one response that was, that was in the packet that was sent. That is from the Metro West Collaborative Development, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. And as you saw from the response they provided, is running this program for a similar program, nearly identical program actually, for several other communities. They have full-time staff dedicated to running and managing emergency rental assistance programs, and they have the infrastructure, the resources, and the capabilities to do so, and their fee structure is in line with our expectations.
Okay. They are available. They're based in Newton. They have a nice website that you can go to. You can look it up. And in particular, they have a section on working with trusts, and in particular, some of the rental assistant programs they're currently involved in, such as, I think they're doing things in Watertown, Winthrop, Belmonts. Those are just a couple that they've listed there. So, given that we have one and only one response. Fortunately, it meets our criteria that we had laid out as far as the fees for processing initially and managing the assistance to an individual. I think we're open to discussion or questions.
First, my one question or beginning question is: do we have any feedback from the folks that we solicited who didn't bid as to what their concerns were, or whether they just didn't have the capacity?
We did not get any feedback. They were sent an email that we would be doing the solicitation. They were sent the solicitation, and they should have each received a follow-up on Monday morning asking for an indication if they were going to respond.
Okay, so they just, for whatever reason,
Yeah.
aren't interested or don't have the capacity. Okay.
Other questions? Go ahead, Hank.
I see the contract runs through October, so I assume we're committing. We would commit to that. We would, at this meeting, in addition to agreeing to hire them, we'd agree to enable the disbursement of funds out through October.
Correct, and we should, part of the contract that is to be signed includes the total amount of funds that we are making available. That's part of the, and now I did have a question on that. If we vote to use the collaborative here, when we execute the contract, we need to fill in a few things there.
Correct. So we can talk about the contract as part of the second agenda item.
Right.
At this point, the trust has already allocated the fund. We've already voted to allocate the funds. So we would actually use we have the authorization. We've authorized ourselves to allocate the funds. We would do so in whatever timing that the program required. The initial thought is that it would run through October. That's not to say it wouldn't end sooner if the need disappeared or we exhausted the funds and didn't want to continue or allocate additional funds. Additionally, if the need was there and funds were available, we could always decide to extend the duration. So it was sort of an estimate of how long we think the arrangement would be necessary.
So it gives us, once we're up and running, about 6-month program.
Yes.
Other questions? Let's just focus on the first topic because we will need a motion on that. Any other questions, Leah or Kate?
I have no other questions. I would make a motion to approve as is. I'm not sure exactly how to phrase it.
You move to approve the selection of the Metro West Collaborative.
Correct.
As the administrator for our Sarah program.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So indicate that Kate made that motion.
Thank you.
Her voice is a little deep this morning.
I'll
Leah,
second that motion.
Okay, Leah, you have any questions,
Nope.
discussion? Okay,
No
good.
questions. Yeah.
Okay. Why don't we, Alan, as you could do the honors of doing a roll call vote?
Okay, McLean.
McLean, yes.
Storm.
Storm, yes.
Rouch.
Rouch, yes.
Bain.
Bain, yes.
And Edinburgh, yes. So passes 5-0-0, 5 being present.
Okay. All right. The next point or next item on the agenda is to authorize the chair to execute a contract with the Sarah program administrator, which is now defined to be the Metro West Collaborative group. The contract, which was approved by council, was part of the packet, And basically, I can fill this in, et cetera. The one question we didn't have, okay, they have to certify payment of state taxes, which they probably don't have to, which they probably don't pay because they're a 501c. We do need the total amount. Just remind me, Alan, what's the total that we voted for?
So we voted up to $125,000.
Right.
But
and then there was another 25. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Right. So, but in doing so, we said 75,000 initially, up to 25,000 in matching funds that for either the Westborough COVID-19 Community Fund or other private donations, and then an additional 25,000 if we felt necessary to extend or expand the program. And so I believe, and I sent this note off, but I believe approved as to availability of funds, we would probably put the $75,000 there.
Correct.
Or we would simply provide the details of our vote so that they would know it's an initial $75,000 up to potential total of $150, and that if there were any changes to the funding that we were providing, we would simply add another approved as to availability of funds line as an amendment to the contract, and both parties would initial.
Right. I
believe we ought to put the 75 in there.
Yeah.
And then as when we see how the program goes and when we get involved with matching contributions, it'd probably be appropriate for the trustees to authorize each draw, if you will, beyond that. And that's pretty much a letter amendment to the contract is all it requires, just like an email or something like that.
Right.
Okay, I'm certainly comfortable with that.
The other thing I was going to suggest is we put 75 but then do a schedule saying the 75 is a minimum. We also have approved. This would be a note at the end of the contract. It's more for the administrators' benefit.
Yeah, and I wouldn't add that to the contract because you don't know what you're doing legally when you add something like that to the contract.
True. Good point.
We need to authorize somebody on the trust to I assume it's going to be the chair of the trust who's going to have to authorize any commitments to the administrator beyond what's in the contract.
Well, yes. I mean, with a vote, I can't just allocate more with that. What I think might be a solution would be do 75,000. This is my sort of suggestion. 75,000 separately as a cover memo when we send it to them. Say we are also have voted this.
So there are attachments to the contract, one of which would be our program description. Yep. Which outlines the funding.
Yeah, and we can also just attach. I mean, the minutes of our meeting are public record.
Yep.
So we can either just put a pointer to the minutes of the meeting or attach the minutes of the meeting. Hey, here's the public record of what the trustees have authorized.
Okay, sounds good. I'd just like to get that out to them just so they understand the relative scope. So as they engage, they
try not to enrich the town council any more than we need to.
Well, they're just poor country lawyers.
Yeah, good luck.
Okay. Questions on the contract with the collaborative?
Just clarify. I mean, my understanding of the services are we drum up the business and they do the closing and administration. So we've got to provide them with clients or cause clients to contact them.
That is correct. However, they will assist in that effort, such as if we want to do a drive-in event one evening, their staff would come out and be present for that and assist with that. And while we can access translation services through Youth and Family Services, they also have translation services, so we can connect people with them for assistance filling out the application as well. But yeah, that's the general division of responsibilities.
Right. The marketing we'll take the lead on, and we had listed in one of our documents, I think it was really the initial proposal, a whole variety of other organizations within Westborough that we would work with or would ask to assist as necessary or inform them of at least the availability of the program. Such as Council on Aging, Civic Club, Rotary Club, Youth and Family Services, et cetera.
And Kate and I attended a meeting with representatives of the Westborough COVID-19 Community Fund and the Westborough Cares team late last week. And the indication from them is, given the families that they've provided assistance to, that they expect they have a list of about 25 families that they would refer to this program.
Wonderful. I mean, wonderful that we're able to help them. Unfortunately, there is that need. Kate, you have something?
I just wanted to say that sorry, still need caffeine this morning.
How do I capture that in the minutes?
Yes. That was French.
Yes, that was something. I'm not sure what it was, but it was something. So I think that we will have a lot of interest from our community organizations to help us market for this program. I do think, though, that we should take advantage of all that our contract allows with this partnership with Metro West, because I think that they will have, it says that we have access to their staff for these drive-in events, the language translation services. So as not to overwhelm our own community services with some of that stuff, I think that we should make sure that we use the money that we're paying them to get all of the services that we possibly can out of this partnership. So I think we should just remind ourselves what those services are and make sure that we are allowing ourselves those services.
Yep.
So, I move that we authorize the chair, the chair of the trustees to execute a contract with Metro West Collaborative for the COVID-19 program as proposed.
I will second that.
Okay. Discussion on it. We've been talking about it. Any other questions or discussion points?
Ed, I'm assuming when we authorize you to execute the contract, we're also de facto authorizing you to advise Leah, the town finance department, to disperse funds as needed. We don't need a separate motion or a separate activity. You just send her an email or something with a copy of the contract.
Right. Once I execute the contract, get it back from them.
Right.
And I assume we can do that electronically. Do you have any input on that, Alan?
I do not. But
I'll call Leah. I'll call or email Leah saying we're going to execute. Well, if we pass the motion, we will execute it and ask her whatever else we need to do. If we can all do it electronically, that would be best. I have the Word doc here, so I can add in electronic signature, et cetera.
Right. And in those conversations, just reiterate that the amount we would be providing to the collaborative is both funds to cover their administrative fees, as well as the funds that effectively they're going to hold and disperse as grants are authorized.
Right.
Right.
Now, we will give them, as they approve people, do we transfer a certain bucket, if you will, amount of money to them, or are we paying it directly? I think
we transfer funds to them.
Right.
They will let us know how much they need. We'll transfer the funds, and then they handle the disbursement.
Okay. So I would assume that would happen every few months or so. I mean, if we're a 6-month program, maybe
Right,
every 2 months or whatever.
We would probably start with an estimated amount for the first 2 months.
Yep.
And then each month they would let us know, and we would do additional transfers of funds.
Right. And that transfer would no longer necessarily, it would be more my letting Leah know to do the transfer. We don't need to go through a meeting or anything to approve that transfer. That's since we've already approved the total.
Correct,
Right.
but we will have those reports for our monthly meetings.
Correct.
So,
I mean, I'm guessing that Leah's not going to write them a check for $75,000.
No.
She's, you know, you and she and they will agree on an initial funding amount, and she'll cut a check for that amount. You'll have to give her some kind of, Ed will have to give her some kind of business paper that she can back up that disbursement.
Yes, I'll ask her whether she needs the, we have we already have a response to our request for quote. So it may just be, I'll have to see.
the signed contract should be sufficient.
But if she needs I have other paperwork here that I can send her if she needs it. I'll work that with Leah. Okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, I think we're ready for a vote. All right. Alan, could you do the honors of calling the roll?
Sure. Roush,
Roush, yes.
McLean,
McLean, yes.
Storm,
You muted, Kate.
well, she's unmuting. Bain,
Sorry. Storm, yes.
Okay. Bain, yes.
and Edimer, yes. The motion passes on a vote of 5-0-0, 5 being present.
Okay. All right, good. It's 8:23. We're sort of right on time. I have one last point to make. Our next meeting is on the 8th of April. The only issue is I will be in California. Now, we normally schedule for our 9 a.m., which will be 6 a.m., the middle of the night. But I may still be on East Coast time. So I expect to be able to join. If something comes up where I cannot, Hank, I will let you know and others know that you can pick up the, the chair position as
Sure,
vice
can
chair.
do that. That's great, Ed. No problem.
Okay. I will get out an agenda the week before. Basically, it's the Easter week. It's the Thursday after Easter. I'm leaving on Monday, the 5th of April to visit my grandchild, who I haven't seen in a year and a half, and we're all vaccinated and good to go. All right. Any last? Go ahead.
You're taking on the death-defying task of flying in an airplane.
That's right. But, I've always been a risk taker. Anyhow, I think that's about it. Any questions, I'll call up appropriate people and we'll take it from there. Given that, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
And seconded.
Okay, call the roll, please, Alan.
Okay, Roush,
Roush, yes.
McLean,
McLean, yes.
Bain,
Bain, yes.
Storm,
Storm, yes.
and Edimer, yes. We are adjourned.
Okay, thank you, everyone, and thank you, Westborough TV.
Drive safely, Kate.